Is it a sin to dance? One of the first questions I got after I started this ministry countless times is, dude, if I throw some dance moves down, is that a sin? And you know what? It's a good question, all right? Everyone wants to throw down a beat from time to time, but what if you're doing it against the will of the Lord, all right? So I devised this lecture. Is funky white boy grooving a sin, all right? Because all my funky white boys, they want to know. There are a few verses in the Bible that people say prohibit dancing. But let's look at what they actually say. Exodus chapter 32 is one of them. And in the context, Moses finds the people of Israel worshiping Baal. Hey guys, just a quick note because I made a freaking stupid mistake. But most biblical scholars actually don't think that Exodus chapter 32 is about Baal. They actually think it was most likely the Israelites worshiping the God of Israel, but as a graven image. And so out of anger, he throws the 10 commandments to the ground and destroys them. The thing is, nowhere in the verses here does he call out dancing. He calls them out for using their bodies to bow to pagan gods, but not dancing in general. The Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapters 5-7, does talk about lust, and we're called not to lust after a woman. But nowhere is dancing mentioned in the context of the Sermon on the Mount. And so it's clear that if you do use dancing as a way to cause others to lust or to be sinful through that dancing, then it is a sin. But not because of dancing itself. There are numerous other parts of the Bible, for example, the last 2 chapters of Psalms, Psalm chapter 149 and 150, in which we're actually called to use dancing as a means to glorify God and to edify him in the same way that we're called to use instruments to glorify him. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 4 says that there's a time to dance and a time to mourn. And this is not just in an explicitly religious context, but this is in a general context, right? There's a time to be happy and a time to weep. There's a time to build and a time to destroy. There's a time to kill and a time to heal. These are some of the many verses that are mentioned in the 3rd chapter of Ecclesiastes. It's in a general context. But finally, the most important verse, my favorite of them all, is 2 Samuel chapter 6 verse 14. In which it says, David danced before the Lord with all his might. You see, David was a funky white boy who threw down a funky white boy groove. And so you, funky white boy, can throw down a funky white groove. So you, funky white boy, can be funky as well. All right? God bless.